Alright, today we're talking about Heat, and you sons of bitches have been requesting this for a long time, so here it is. This movie's a bit of a slow burn, but it's Michael Mann's best movie. This movie is the first time Al Pacino and Robert De Niro were in the same scene together, even though they were both in The Godfather Part 2. And in Godfather lore, De Niro is technically Pacino's dad, so I consider Heat a great father and son bonding experience. And this movie's filmed by Michael Mann, who's done some of the greatest guy flicks of all time. You got Thief, Collateral, Public Enemies, shit, even Last of the Mohicans. And you know it's the shit? Michael Mann was the guy behind Miami Vice, which is literally my favorite TV show next to Sopranos. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as saying it's my favorite TV show, but Episode 1 is one of my favorite movies of all time. And yes, Episode 1 is literally a movie. It's 2 hours long, and that shit holds up. It's up there with Scarface. And Heat is one of the coolest movies of the 90s. Michael Mann took cops and robbers and turned it into an existential art film where bullets are poetry and men ruin their lives for absolutely nothing. It's slick and moody, and possibly one of the best looking LA crime films ever made. And it's also got some cheesy green screen balcony shots, which are Michael Mann's staples. You ever notice in all of his movies it really has some beautiful landscape shots contrasted with some shitty CGI backgrounds that look like a Windows 95 screensaver? So you got the main character, Neil McCauley. Neil's basically the Buddhist monk of bank robbers, and he lives by one rule: don't let yourself get attached to anything you can't walk out on in 30 seconds flat if you feel the heat coming around the corner. Goddamn, that's a mouthful, but I live by that, for real. It's all about non-attachment, whether it be women, material items, relationships, or friendships. He doesn't give a shit. He's disciplined, cold, a perfectionist. But Neil's the first person to break his own rule as soon as he meets Edie. He gets attached to her immediately. But can you blame him? Look at her. Curly-headed animal with that smile. Edie's a damn smoke show. I'm not even gonna lie. But what I find to be a major plot hole, she's a redneck from the Ozarks, talks like this, but happens to be a graphic designer in LA. Bitch, stop lying. They didn't have computers in the Ozarks in the 90s. Shit makes zero sense. Like, was her backstory created by manatees with idea balls? Let's take this chick. She's from the Ozarks, and she's a graphic designer. What the fuck? That's the most random origin story I've ever heard. But for a bank robber and mass murderer, Neil is actually pretty damn nerdy. He's meticulous, quiet, and anal retentive, and he's a control freak. And one of his guys decides to start killing guards during a heist, and it turns this clean job into a messy bloodbath. And essentially that's the theme of the movie. You got one guy who has all the rules in the world, but all it takes is one psycho to completely screw everything up. Robert De Niro's character is really cool. He's a professional Zen master of crime, but when you look at him, he's basically a square. He's too good for the life he lives. He's like a highly disciplined project manager for a high-risk enterprise. He's got all this raw talent, but he's misdirecting it into something completely pointless and destructive. But he's really good at organizing his crew. They're all these professional, disciplined, hyper-competent guys, and they're all on the same page. They're loyal to each other. But this isn't a real crew. Real criminals are a bunch of disorganized, short-sighted idiots. They're not meticulously planning heists for months. A real criminal's idea of a heist is doing a bunch of meth and robbing your local Circle K. The crew in Heat are like the Avengers, but for armed robbery. They're too damn professional to be real. But you got Waingro, the spastic idiot who shoots everyone. He's the only realistic criminal in the whole damn movie, and he's the guy who screws everything up because that's what real people do. They're stupid and they make mistakes. Waingro's basically the human equivalent of stepping in dog shit. He's the guy you bring to the party and immediately ruins the vibe. But instead of just being annoying, he's a full-blown serial killer with zero impulse control. As soon as he steps into the crew, he smells like failure. Everyone else is professional, disciplined, and methodical, and then here comes Waingro, a methed-out drifter who looks like he sleeps in truck stop bathrooms. He doesn't even last one heist before fucking it up. Neil had a plan that was clean and bloodless, and Waingro fucks it all up by shooting a guard who looked at him funny. Waingro is the chaos Neil spends his whole life avoiding in human form. He's all impulse with zero structure. He kills women because he can't get hard without violence. He wants the fruits of a professional life without doing the work to actually be a pro. Letting Waingro into the crew was the biggest mistake Neil ever made. Waingro blew up the whole spot. And because of this, now you got Al Pacino on your ass. And Al Pacino's character, Lieutenant Vincent Hanna, is one of the most unhinged protagonists in cinema history. He's not a hero, but a man consumed by his job to the point of a severe psychological breakdown. He's a workaholic to a fault, and his defining trait is his relentless, almost superhuman energy. It's like he survives on caffeine, cigarettes, and a single-minded focus on his work. And I'm pretty sure that Al Pacino was coked out the entire time he shot this movie. Honestly, he hasn't looked the same since. This movie aged him into an old grandpa. It was probably all the blow he was doing in between takes. And honestly, Tony Montana was the groundwork for Vincent Hanna. Remember Al Pacino in The Godfather? A man of few words, never raised his voice. And then after he did Scarface, it's like he had an epiphany. From here on out, all of his characters are going to be bugged out psychopaths, yelling at the top of their lungs with their eyes bulging out of their head. But the central theme of Heat is loneliness. It's one of the loneliest gangster movies ever made. Every single character is defined by their job. Cop, thief, getaway driver, fence, bank manager, prostitute, and those roles don't just pay them, they own them. Their identities are welded into their work, and in that obsession, every relationship they have crumbles. You have Neil McCauley, his mantra is non-attachment. And it's not just a survival rule, it's a prison sentence. This guy can't love, can't connect, can't live a normal life. And the second he gets close to Edie, he breaks his own rule, and it's his undoing. Love makes him human, but humanity gets him killed. Chris, played by Val Kilmer, he loves his wife, he needs her, even while she's cheating on him and their marriage is falling apart. He clings to her because she's his tether to normalcy. But his role as a professional thief, a degenerate gambler, forces him to hurt her again and again. He can't let go, but he also can't stop doing what he does. And then you got Vincent Hanna, who's basically Tony Montana in a police badge, running on pure cocaine energy and adrenaline. But when the badge comes off, he's just a hollow shell. His wife leaves him because he's never there. His stepdaughter tries to kill herself because he's too consumed by his job to be her father. That suicide attempt is one of the darkest scenes in movie history. Here's a kid so ignored, so unseen, that her only way to get attention is to bleed out in a bathtub. And that's Michael Mann's point. It doesn't matter if you're a cop or a robber, a hero or villain. If your whole life revolves around your work, you end up alone. The streets swallow you, the job consumes you, and the people you love get left behind in the wreckage. And then you got one of the greatest scenes in movie history, the coffee shop scene. So you got Pacino chasing De Niro through the night, and there's a Moby cover of New Dawn Fades from Joy Division, which is my favorite Joy Division song. And usually I don't like it when people mess with bands I like, but Moby did a really good job. He stayed faithful to the original. You could tell he was a fan. In all honesty, they should have had the original by Joy Division playing rather than the Moby version, but whatever. So when Pacino, who spends the whole movie trying to chase Robert De Niro, when he finally catches him, he doesn't arrest him, doesn't read him his rights. He walks up and says, "Let me buy you a coffee." It's like the most polite cop and criminal Tinder date in history. And that's the brilliance. These guys don't want to destroy each other, they need each other. And the coffee scene is basically two confessions. Pacino admits his life is wrecked, his marriage is in shambles. He says how him and his wife are passing each other on the downslope of a marriage. His third. I like when he paused and said, his third. I've been divorced twice, so I feel that. His stepdaughter wants to kill herself. His professional success is a receipt for his personal failures. And De Niro lays down his philosophy. Don't get attached to anything you can't walk out on in 30 seconds if you feel the heat coming around the corner. And that's his religion. Detachment is survival. And Al Pacino says a really cool thing that I caught. I don't know who else caught this, but Pacino's response to that is, "That's pretty vacant," which is a straight nod to the Sex Pistols. And essentially what they do is predict their own future. Pacino can't hold his family together. De Niro breaks his rule, and the second he falls for Edie, he dies. You got two men who see themselves in each other, admit their lives are empty, and then quickly agree. One of us is gonna kill the other. This scene's not just a meeting, it's a suicide pact, or homicide pact. The next time I see you, I'm gonna kill you. And the next time I see you, I'm gonna kill you. Deal? Deal. Heat's about men who dedicate themselves so fully to their roles that the price they pay is intimacy, family, and peace of mind. And in the final shot, Pacino's holding De Niro's hand as he dies. Two men who spent the whole movie trying to kill each other, finally finding connection in their loneliness. It's not friendship or reconciliation. It's just two wolves recognizing the pack was never coming. They were always alone. And it's very symbolic. The two guys whose whole identity is to take one another down share a heartfelt moment at the end. Two men that are the exact same person, just on opposite sides of the law. So the moral of Heat is, a life of purpose without connection is a lonely one. Both Neil and Vincent are successful at their jobs, but their dedication left them isolated, and no amount of professional victory can compensate for the failure to maintain loving relationships. And good and evil are just labels. Heat presents a moral about the ambiguity of good and evil. The film doesn't celebrate Hanna as a hero or condemn Neil as a villain. Instead, it shows them as two sides of the same coin, with shared traits of loneliness, ambition, and a fatalistic view of life. And in the end, Hanna holding McCauley's hand as he dies is a somber acknowledgement that both men have lost the same battle. But I love this movie. People call it the greatest crime movie ever made, and maybe it is. But it's more than a crime movie. It's a damn tragedy. It's a movie that says you can be the most disciplined, most professional, and feared guy in the room, but if you go home to an empty house, you're just a loser. It's a film about how our jobs, the one thing we're supposed to be good at, is what ends up killing us and making us miserable. And this movie's an absolute masterpiece. And in the end, I think the movie's trying to tell us, don't be a professional, don't be a loner, go home and be with your wife and watch this movie. But yeah, tell me some of your favorite scenes, your favorite quotes. I mean, my favorite scene, of course, is when Al Pacino and Robert De Niro are having that face-off in the coffee shop, that monologue. If you got me boxed in and I gotta take you down, I won't hesitate. It doesn't get much better than that. And all of Al Pacino's lines in this movie are absolute gems. Everyone knows, she's got a great ass, and you got your head all up in it. And of course, don't waste my motherfucking time. But yeah, man, this movie is incredible. It holds up. This shit doesn't get old. And you'll even find new things in this movie 30 years later. But I've always had trouble putting other people onto this movie. They tap out after a few minutes. But if you watch this thing through, you'll be glad you did, because by the end of it, your mind is completely blown. That ending is incredible. And if you like Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, you have to see this movie, because both of those guys are acting their asses off like they have a point to prove. They both acted like their rent was due. This was shameless Oscar bait. And if you haven't seen it, I highly suggest it. Tell me some of your thoughts on it, and to the rest of you, I hope you have a good night. Be safe. She's got a great ass. And God bless.